Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Brother Sister Show, a family owned and operated podcast where two siblings keep in touch by talking about movies. This week, we're talking about Anthony's pick, Soul. But before we get to that, let's talk about what we've watched this week. Anthony, you can do us the honor of going first.
I don't even remember. I know for sure. I know for sure. Kayla and I have been watching New Girl. Again, we finished that for like what feels like the billionth time. That's a good show. I found that show is a lot funnier than what I remembered. But we started watching Community again, and that show is okay.
Classic.
And then I started. Actually, it's been a lot of shows. I don't think I've watched a lot of movies. We want to watch the Harry Potter series, but we haven't gotten around to it.
I thought you did.
Kayla and I. No, we haven't finished it.
Oh, but you started.
We started a while ago, but we got to finish it. I'm continuing to watch Nathan For You. I really want to finish that. Because there's 3 seasons. I just finished season 1 because I kind of took a break from watching it. And I like the way that he ended season 1, or that they ended season 1, where it's like he's like all lonely and it's like everyone is rejecting him. That was really funny. And then I started watching Batman Beyond because that got added to HBO Max.
Am I supposed to know what that is?
Yeah, it's an animated series that came out in 1999. Essentially, the story is Batman is old, right? Bruce Wayne is super old. And he has this cool new suit where it's like, I'm sure you've seen it. He's like all black and then it's like the logo's red. He doesn't have a cape in it as well. But he's like, as I said, he's super old, so he can't fight as well. He's like getting super tired and he's trying to rescue this lady. And he like kind of breaks down and he doesn't know like how to save himself. Like it looks like the bad guy's going to save him. But then he picks up the gun and threatens, like Batman picks up the gun and threatens to shoot the bad guy. And then the bad guy's like, no, don't shoot me, whatever. And then Batman obviously doesn't want to kill anyone. He's just using it to threaten. So then he's like, I'm never becoming Batman again. Long story short, he trained someone else to become Batman. So that's Batman Beyond, and that I hope they make it, because it was announced that the Batfleck is out. How do you feel about that?
I've been heartbroken for, I was going to say days, but I think they said it today, right?
Yeah, it was only today. I spent way too long coming up with the tweet for our Twitter account.
What was it? I saw that. I saw it, but I already forgot what it said.
I said, give me Batman Beyond or give me death.
Oh, yeah. I saw that and I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. Somebody will know.
It's a great animated series.
That's kind of, I wonder how he feels about it. I've been seeing that he is pissed at paparazzi for taking pictures of him getting his Dunkin' Donuts.
His Dunkin' Donuts.
I feel bad.
He looked rough in that.
But that's the thing that's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to assume something's going on with him because it's true. That's the point, is it's none of my business. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I just never, and people are always like, well, he signed up for that. I don't know. It just, like, they're fucking people. It's like, especially with me, I mean, to be transparent, I've also been having just like a rough week, and I can't even imagine. I mean, you don't leave your place anyways, but the fact that he can't even order fucking which sounds so good right now, Dunkin' Donuts, and like, it was like the coffee, and I'm so mad that I know this, but like the donut holes, like the little like package thing. And you can't even do that and be like, just be at peace. And so I don't know. It feels like every time I watch or I see those paparazzi pictures, it's like, it feels, you know what, on TikTok people are saying, like, this feels illegal to watch. It feels like that. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be seeing this because he obviously did not consent to like having his image.
Yeah, it sucks to just like go on any social media and see that everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking hate it. So, and on top of that, he is not Batman anymore. Oh my God.
Michael Keaton's back. I don't know how they found out about this, because I saw that and I was like, how do you guys know this? That Michael Keaton is now the main Batman in the DCEU with Robert Pattinson, or not with Robert Pattinson, but like he's gonna be the main Batman.
Why though? Like why jump from Ben Affleck to him? Has he been Batman before?
Michael Keaton?
Yeah, who am I thinking of?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. But like
sure.
Why?
Well, I think that a lot of people are thinking that they want to make Batman Beyond. And I think it'll go well with the Flash, just the whole like multiverse thing. But I mean, I'm excited for whatever they make. Like I said, give me Batman Beyond or give me death.
Why don't you say give me nothing? Why give me death? Or kill me.
Give me death.
Or I want Michael Keaton himself to come to my house and kill me. I
tried to come up with so many different things. Like that was the funniest, and it got no traction whatsoever.
Ooh, let's revisit our drafts. Do you have any new ones?
Let me see.
I've already said this one, but I haven't tweeted it yet. But I think it's the funniest thing I've ever put in my drafts. It makes me laugh every time I see it. I put, knowing the order of the solar system is childish.
That's funny.
I don't know the right moment.
Well, I don't think there is a right moment. I think that's a send it right there.
Right now?
Do it. I don't have any new ones.
I don't know. I just picture people being like, girl, you don't know the order of the system. But do people actually know?
Yeah.
That's okay. I think that's what makes me not want to do it. Because I'm like, am I the dumb one? But I feel like people don't know.
I think that kind of adds to it. Because like, oh, she's dumb.
No, I'm not going to tweet it yet. I'm going to save it.
Yet.
It's not, it doesn't feel right. I think just like, they say the moon is in retrograde. No, not the moon. Venus is in retrograde.
Mercury.
The Batman is in retrograde right now. And so I can't make any decisions because I need to know for sure, is Michael Keaton and Batman Beyond is happening. And I can't, with that uncertainty, I can't make any decisions right now.
All right, whatever. Well, I don't really have any new drafts. Any tweet that I think of, I just send it out.
Just send it.
Yeah. At this point, I'm like, whatever.
Oh, you had a good one the other day. I forgot what it was, but
the heads up, King. Your mask is falling.
Made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, that one.
How did that one go?
I'm proud of that one. Well, I
like this this tweets review portion of the podcast.
Dissecting our tweets.
So what did you think? What was the process of?
I don't remember. Kayla and I were talking about it. We were talking about something.
All right. So I have a couple of, oh my God, I thought my mic was falling. I got a couple of bangers for you. So first, have you heard of, and if not, if Kayla's in the room, I need you to ask her if she knows what after is.
She's not in the room, but I know she knows what this is.
Okay. So Sebastian and I think he said he stumbled upon it the other day. He just like wanted to put something on. And so he put on a movie called After We Collided. And then he mentioned that to me and he was like, it was bad. I didn't know what was going on. I just tried to put something on while I was folding my clothes and it just like made me upset. And I said, well, I think that's the sequel. So I think you just dived into like a movie fully not seeing the first part of it. And then I was like, I wanted to, what I should have done, because I know a little bit about this movie. And so we watched both of them this weekend. What I should have done is make him watch it and then after tell him what it's based on, because he had no idea.
It's based on a fanfic of Harry Styles, right?
Yeah, of Harry Styles. And he didn't know that. And so I said, and I was like trying to make him guess. So I was like, okay, so this is a fanfic that started on Wattpad. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I said, oh man, you're one of the lucky ones. And by the way, did you know the Hamburger Helper has, I think it was Hamburger Helper, they have like fanfic. They like, is like a marketing thing. That's
so
for another day.
stupid.
But
Just move
anyways,
on. It's
and
so
I told
dumb.
him, okay, so the main guy's name is Hardin. I think it was like Scott or something. And I said, what
Oh my
HF, what
gosh.
does that, who is that? And I was giving him all the hints and he said, oh, Harry Styles. And it was so, there's this one shot. Well, first of all, Anthony, I need you instantly to watch both of these movies. You need to. They're
No.
the second one is, you think it can't get worse. And then you watch the second one. And apparently, Sebastian said there's like, there's like two more, and then there's another prequel called Before.
Oh my goodness.
And you just need to watch it. There's especially this one moment. I just want you to watch it for this one moment in in the second movie. And that's all I'll say. And you'll know instantly what moment I'm talking about.
The second one came out recently, right? And
I think so.
When Kayla found out that it had released, like it was one of those moments where I was like playing games or doing something, and she was on her phone, and she like gasped, like, and then she like hurriedly was on her phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? She's like, After We Collided came out. I was like, don't ever scare me like that for something like that.
Whatever. You probably did the same damn thing when you saw the Michael Keaton news.
No, I did the same thing, but trying to come up with a tweet about it.
Oh. Well, I think you'll make her the happiest girl in the world if you tell her, I need to watch
I need to watch
After franchise. If you really don't want to watch it, then I'll just send you a timestamp for something that I need you to watch.
I could do that.
Oh, it made me laugh so hard. Oh no. So I watched a good thing that I watched was a show called The Wilds on Amazon Prime. And I actually highly recommend it. I didn't think I would like it because it was one of those shows that a bunch of people kept recommending me. And I typically don't like them. I'm like, please, for the love of God, stop telling me to watch Queen's Gambit. I'm not going to do it. I don't care how good it sounds. I'm not going to do it. And it was the same with this one. But then I watched it because I was like, well, it had like Vampire Diaries, Degrassi, like all these like teen vibes. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. And I really liked it. I think you and Kayla should watch it. I think y'all would like it. You would get really into the story. And it has a lot of really good twists. That's the one thing that was like, that kept me going through it. Because like I said, it's kind of like some of the acting is it feels very Vampire Diaries. I think that's a good way to describe it. Especially the acting, it's kind of dramatic. I mean, it's teen girls, so like it's going to be dramatic, but the story is very good. And every time an episode ended, there was just more twists and turns that I did not see coming. So yeah, I think you should try it.
All right.
I told Mom to watch it. I think Mom would watch it too, or she'd like it. But yeah, that's what I saw.
Sounds good.
I had a tweet about the Queen's Gambit, but I don't know if I tweeted it or if I just deleted it. I think it was like Gambit is steadily, or is like increasingly becoming one of my least favorite words. I fucking hate that word. All right, you ready to hit the break?
We should talk about our bonus episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you want to say?
We had a bonus episode. If you listen to this one, if you've gotten this far and you haven't listened to our bonus, I had a lot of fun recording that one. That one was like, normally we record our episodes on Sunday or Monday, sometimes even Tuesday. And then we just release it on Thursday.
A Wednesday too.
There had to have been a Wednesday. Never a Thursday though. We don't dare.
No, not that chaotic.
But there's a couple days buffer between when we record these and release them. But that one was like a lot of fun because like we just recorded it. I edited it real fast and then just put it out.
And there was not really any prep. This one we do like notes and I do some research, but with that one we just put it out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We talked about 2020 and this year, 2021. Look what we're looking forward to. So if you're interested, go check it out. That's all I got.
A musician who has lost his passion for music is transported out of his body and must find his way back with the help of an infant soul learning about herself in Soul. Directed by Pete Docter and Kemp Powers. Story and screenplay by Pete Docter, Mike Jones, and Kemp Powers. Starring Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and Graham Norton.
As far as how much it cost, don't really know because it was such a new movie, came out on Disney Plus. All we know is that worldwide it grossed about $35.5 million. I'm pretty sure that's based on just box office, right? Or
I
whatever IMDb tells us, that's what it is. Honestly.
I mean, it did. There are, not to be controversial, but there are countries that are able to go to movies because we all know why. So that's probably what that is.
Yeah. And critics gave it an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Pretty high. 95% on Rotten Tomatoes and 83% on Metacritic.
All right. Since it's your pick, do you want to have any intro to it? Do you want to just get into it?
Let's just get into it. I picked this movie because I felt like it's a good start into the year. As we all know, 2020 was a terrible year. Ended on a very sour note. A very prominent black artist, MF Doom, unfortunately passed away in October of last year. But we found out about it on New Year's Eve. So,
I didn't realize it was in October.
Yeah, his wife came out on his Instagram and said that he had transitioned on Halloween of 2020, and I had discovered his music like June of 2020 maybe, and hadn't really dove into his like music, but man, it's so tragic because he had so much influence in so many different people, and my best friend David was I was talking to him about it, and he said he just had this perfect line where it's like, he's your rapper's favorite rapper. I think he has that. I think he has like MF Doom has that line somewhere. It's like your MC's favorite MC or something like that. But I think that just speaks perfectly to it. And I think it's good to celebrate a black artist like MF Doom with a movie that does that, like Soul.
And I know, like, Sebastian was telling, because Sebastian's very big into music and he also knew who he was. And obviously I love music, but I'm not like tapped into a lot of the like cool people in music. And so I've heard some of his songs and I didn't realize it. Like, I think Sebastian was playing me one of his songs and I was like, oh, I've heard this before. I think it was like on TikTok or something. And I actually, like, it was the first time I ever listened to one of his songs, and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it just made me so sad that I didn't like pay attention enough. Because I think truly the first time I've ever heard of him was New Year's because of his passing, and that really sucks. But yeah, his music is so goddamn good. But I get to hear it now. Like, he gave it. That's another thing that, like, I just love about. I think one of the reasons I love movies, and I try, at least with like this podcast, I've been trying to do more of, even if the movie is bad, even if I don't like it, even if there's things that I can criticize from it, I still appreciate that the people that made it, it's a gift that they're giving us. Like, he had an amazing gift that he gave us. And we get to enjoy it. Even though he transitioned, we still get to enjoy what he left with us, which is really cool. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, though. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I just thought it was important to have a good movie to to go off on, because 2021 is following up a terrible year. So let's get into it. Sorry, I started off kind of
no,
sad, but
that's good. Well, you know what I mean. But getting into the music, this opening song, flashbacks of, well, first of all, it made me think of what you were talking about last time about playing your band music in one of our episodes. Exactly this. As somebody who has been to many a band recital, especially middle school band recitals, because not only you but Homer were both in band, and for whatever
yeah.
reason, well, I guess because our parents are good parents, they went to every single one of them. But like, god damn it, I was like, why these are so bad. I mean, y'all are middle schoolers, so like, I'm not gonna, yell and say and like boo and stuff, but oh my god, they got the music for a middle school band perfectly. It
Yeah.
was
And I love because they're playing like the Disney theme,
uh
and I love that how it's just like it transitions straight into the movie. And I
yeah.
think I don't know if you said this or where I heard it from, but I love when movies just do that. Where I think we've said this before, where it just starts, and I think that's such a nice way where kind of like The Simpsons, where uh, the theme song is like kind of integrated into the very beginning of the movie. I think that this is like, if not the best example that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I love movies that instantly set the mood because you don't really know exactly what's happening, but like, oh, we're in a middle school band. Like that, that is so distinct. But the directors, or at least the makers of this movie, they're very good at doing that, because another one I can think of that just instantly take you into it and show you exactly where we're starting from the movie is Up. The first, I mean, talk about a way to like start off sad. That is one of the saddest starts to a movie I've ever seen. But it like is so effective, and that's true to what his life is. And right now that's true to what this guy's life is that he's got to listen to, I mean, he's got to listen to middle school band every day.
He
He
gets paid for it though.
I mean, now, well, let's get into that. So like I said, I just wanted to note again, this middle school band sound, I cannot emphasize enough. It is so good. Very accurate. And we meet Joe, or Mr. Gardner, and he is a band teacher, like we said. They show us that, and I, like you said, they kind of set the story really well. So they first instantly show us that he doesn't, I mean, he has a lot of passion for music. You can tell in the way that he's like talking to these kids about music, but he doesn't love being a teacher. Like he doesn't think he belongs there. Which I don't blame him, especially the way that this country teaches or treats teachers. They don't treat them like, the professionals that they are, but that's not his passion, and you can tell. And like you said, right now, I think at this moment, he is not a full-time teacher, but at the end of the class, the principal comes and offers him a full-time job, which seems like, I mean, she's excited and she's like, hey, you're welcome. But it's not that simple for him to take that, because he doesn't want to do that. And a fun fact about this movie, one of our first fun facts, I know, well, first of all, like a little aside, every time you pick an animated movie, I get so stressed out, because the fun facts that they have in here are like the difference between the movies you choose is like, I'll go and it says 200 fun facts or 200 trivia, and mine is like 2. Like, I think there's been a few that I've picked that have had none. This one had like 150 something. But
Perfect.
the first one is that Pixar chose to portray the film's character as a musician because they wanted a, quote, profession the audience could root for, and settled for a musician after trying for a scientist. I also saw that they tried for something else, not like a scientist, so I don't really know what the truth is. So they said a scientist just didn't feel as natural and as pure as like a musician's life, so that's why they shifted to that. And then the director, Peter Docter, describes Soul as, quote, an exploration of where should your focus be? what are the things that at the end of the day are really going to be the important things that you look back on and go, I spent a worthy amount of my time on earth worrying or focused on that. Just let
Yeah.
that sink in.
I could see that like that note shine, especially when he's telling a story about his dad taking him to I don't remember where, maybe a coffee shop where this guy was playing jazz and he was like, I don't want to see I don't care about jazz.
Yeah.
And he's like, just give it a chance. And then like you see how he changes when he plays for the first time in this movie.
Yeah,
How
and
it's
like
completely changed.
not to, I mean, scientists are obviously also very important, but I do agree with like it'd be harder to like instantly see the like purpose and value that somebody holds in music and science, if that makes sense. Like at least visually, it's a little bit more interesting. And for a scientist, I mean, you just have to like, I feel like there's some sort of like other background that you have to have that they didn't have time to build.
Yeah.
Like you can't go to like no father is going to take their kid to like what do you go to, like a laboratory and they're like, I don't want to be here. It's just, that's not as like,
Yeah.
I guess visually interesting. Not to say that it's not interesting, but I understand why they made that decision. Yeah, so after this, we see him at his mom's shop. She's a tailor, so she's like working on some clothes. And he gets a call. I think so they're talking about the whole like job thing. She's very, and she says that he needs to take this job because he needs benefits. Well, what a mom would tell you is like, or a parent would tell you, like, I know you want this dream, but you've been trying at it for so long. And I think she calls him middle-aged. She's like, you need to like settle down, which is that's what kind of like the society at large, I guess, would also tell him like, hey dude, it's not going to happen. So just like settle down. But while he's at the shop and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do, he gets a call from an old student who, by the way, I didn't realize until after when I looked at the casting he's played by Questlove, the drummer,
Questlove.
which makes sense. I'm like, yeah, obviously.
I gotta say, I watched this the first time, like when it came out. I didn't know who any of the voices were, like whatsoever. I didn't even like think about it. I think this movie does such a good job with like Jamie Foxx is Joe Gardner, Tina Fey is her character, but like I had no idea. And another fun fact I saw, you probably didn't want to include, but the people who made the movie contacted Questlove, was like, hey, we want you to like pick out his wardrobe, or like, is this wardrobe okay? Is everything that he's wearing okay? His character. So he was consulted for his character.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he shows up. So like I said, Questlove's character tells him like, hey, there's this, I forgot that I didn't write down the performer's name, but he's like, she was a big deal. I don't know if you want to look it up, but she's a big deal. And he said that we need a guy to play piano. The other guy dropped out, so we need somebody. So if you can come down here and practice with us, and she'll like not rehearse, but like audition basically for us and see if you get it. And he does an amazing job. And I thought, I don't know why, but I thought it was going to be like he gets there and he chokes or something. But no, he goes into, we'll learn a little bit later, but he gets into the zone. I think that's what they call it. And he's just like entranced by what he's doing because he loves it so much. Do you have her name?
Dorothea Williams.
The Dorothea Williams.
Yeah.
And she says, okay, you can come tonight and get a nice suit and we'll see you later. And so he's excitingly telling people, he's on the phone. He's super excited about it. And he directly falls into a sewer and turns into a little like blue guy.
Little blue version of him.
Yeah. And I have to say that so he drops into this like black and white little area. I don't know how to describe it. And it has like like a conveyor belt that's going into a white light. And I think they call it, we learned that it's called the Great Beyond, and it's fucking stunning the way that they do it.
It reminded me of like Guitar Hero.
All right. I'm like, it's beautiful. It's nothing like I've ever seen. I think it's like Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the only thing I could think of that it just like reminded me, because it's just like, because it even has like the bars, like the frets, like like Guitar Hero does.
All right. Okay. And so he tries to get out because he learns, he kind of like can tell that it's because he died. And so his soul is going on the guitar. What do you call it? The neck?
Yeah, whatever. He falls into the abyss.
Yeah, he tries to get out, and so he falls through the cracks and into a field that's filled with new souls. And I actually have a fun fact for this, Anthony. But when he fell through the cracks, I'm sure you already knew, or you already could tell what this fun fact is. But towards the beginning of the movie, the part we're at now, when Joe is entering the Great Beyond, there seems to be an interstellar reference as he enters/passes through the fourth dimension. Also, for a split second, Joe appears to be inside a tesseract.
Interstellar has an infinite amount of... Yeah, it's the blueprint.
But it did look like it. Like my first note before I saw this fun fact was he goes through where Matthew McConaughey is probably stuck right now.
Yeah.
But that was, yeah. So it was really cool. I think so. This note is incorrect because he is leaving the Great Beyond and he's going into the Great Before, which is where the little, like the new souls are. And I didn't really, there's a lot of like rules to this world that I just didn't write down because you just got to watch it. But basically they have like, for the new souls that are going to enter Earth, they get a mentor, which is a soul that has left Earth. And I think after they mentor one, then they can like leave or something like that, right?
They go into the Great Beyond.
But
the mentors are there essentially... My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But the mentors are there to essentially give the new souls like their last spark. So Joe's like, I'm going to do that because he doesn't want to go into the Great Beyond. Because he tries to jump into the Earth. There's like a little Earth portal, but he can't do it because he doesn't have this little Earth badge.
Yeah.
And new souls get Earth badges once they find that spark. So he's like, I'll become a mentor, steal that Earth badge and get to Earth. And I like the way they show his plan.
Yeah.
Like they just show like kind of like exactly what's in his brain, but like animated.
It's so much easier because I was like, oh, okay. Like I instantly got it. But it's not that easy because there's an accountant named Terry that knows something's off. And the amount of memes that have sprung from this one accountant is hilarious. I saw one the other day, or I saw one actually today that I didn't understand, where it was like Libras be like, and then it was Terry. And I am a Libra. I don't know what that means. Am I like, I don't know. Am I annoying? Yeah.
You're asking the wrong person. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, if somebody knows, then let me know, please, because I would love to be in on the joke.
I love the one that's like, pretty much the only one I've seen is like that one asshole who takes their job way too seriously. Oh,
or someone that was like, that's the kid that reminds the teacher that they didn't pick up homework. That's exactly it. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he basically was let out like on a technicality. But I mean, let him have it.
It also, like, it wasn't hard for him to leave the Guitar Hero belt thing.
Yeah.
So, like, how is it his fault?
Also, Anthony, when I die and I don't go into heaven, assuming I'm going there, if I don't get in there on a Guitar Hero conveyor belt, I'm going to be very upset and I'm going to haunt you. Because that's what I'm expecting now.
Play me out. Play me out.
It's Freebird.
Freebird. Gosh.
Oh my God. Someone needs to edit that. Have Freebird and the like little.
That's too long.
So Joe is given a mentee that everybody, even Mother Teresa, hates. And a fun fact about 22, which is this mentee's name, is that she gets her name because she is the 22nd soul to have ever existed. To give a suggestion to how long this has been, the soul that was named before her was in the 100 billions.
Yeah, and I think that was a fun fact too, where like it's really estimated that there have been 102 billion people that have existed on Earth.
Oh, it was accurate?
Yeah.
That's cool. I also saw that I think Soul is the 23rd Pixar movie or something. So.
That's cool. So why didn't they name her 23?
Good question. Or maybe it was 22nd. I don't know. Who knows?
Like a fun fact that's like a little off.
Yeah. So it could, sometimes IMDb does that. So it could have been that, but, or it's like, no, nobody's confirmed that this is true or something like that. One day I'm just going to add a fun fact and see how long it'll stay up there.
Oh, man. Wow.
All right. So I have a question about this, though. So the way that like we said, the way that the mentors work is that they have to be souls that are already died, and they mentor you to figure out, like you said, what your spark is. Who would you want your mentor to be?
Gosh. I'd want like someone who's dead. I want JFK because he can read really fast.
Is that true?
And I feel like, yeah, he read like 1,000 words per minute. Something ridiculous. I hope he didn't do the speed reading thing. Because that's dumb. I don't know. Someone... Honestly, I probably wouldn't even care.
I would want somebody
Beethoven
that
would be cool.
I would want somebody that I would like get along with, or that would like be honest with me. Like, can you imagine Prince giving you advice?
Oh my goodness, Prince! I forgot about Prince. Prince would be really fun.
I would love nothing more than to him.
Because then you learn about their life too. Because there's this whole exhibit where it shows pretty much everything important that happened in your life.
Dude, and after that, so
the mentors.
So Joe kind of takes somebody's identity, and so when he gets in there, it's just some like random doctor. But then he shows like we get to see what his is, and my God. So after Sebastian and I watched this together, and after that, where he's like eating alone at a diner, it kind of. To us, it looks like it's kind of sad. And I think 22 kind of made fun of it where she's like, this is kind of sad. But Sebastian and I were like, fuck, like, holy shit. Like, I think we were paying attention to this movie, obviously. But after that part, we were like, God damn, this movie is going to fuck us up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this made everybody watching think about what theirs would look like. So what do you think? Not generally what it would look like, because that's just a lot of time, but what do you think the main exhibit would be? Or we can say, because I think they had like didn't he have like specific things, like items?
I don't remember that.
He had like some items that was like some, I don't know, I forgot what it was. But it could be like your phone or something. You could pick like specific, like if you're curating a museum of your life, what are items that you would want? Or like I said, a general exhibit. I mean, inhaler number one.
Probably an inhaler.
All your medicine.
Yeah, just my box of medicine. That's a good question.
I don't know if
I mean, like, I'm pretty young, so I feel like I haven't lived that much of life. So an inhaler is a majority of my life. Like, the longest thing I've done is had asthma. So
Yeah, but you could also have like your computer or something,
that's lame, though.
I guess.
Maybe drumsticks.
Ooh. Yeah, like passions of yours. I would want.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could have like Ari's like collar. That's kind of
Mm.
sad, but Jesus, something like that, or yeah, I don't know. I guess that's
I'd
the
want.
thing, though, is that you have to think about that. Like, what in the exhibit of your life? What's the important things? And if right now
What
you
has
can't think
made
of any,
you?
then what does that say?
What has made you the most you? Headgear. Maybe my headgear.
Oh my god.
Well,
Oh.
maybe not items, but like, what memory do you think would be there? Would show?
Mm. I mean, there'd be like probably like a family vacation. Like, remember when we went to Legoland? Do you remember that?
No,
Oh, well.
I don't remember that.
Or just like holiday park or something, like going to one of those when I got
Yeah.
my first tattoo. Um, something with Sebastian, like maybe when, like on our first date at the Buffalo Wild Wings. I mean, me
I
at the
would.
movies, that have to be like the main one. All the fucking
Yeah.
ticket stubs that I have.
Oh yeah. I think mine, like my memory with Kayla, would be our first date. We went to an opera, and we both fell
Ooh.
asleep.
Oh.
So it would be just us asleep at the opera.
Sebastian I told Sebastian, like, why, like, the fact that have been together for 7 years and our first date was at a Buffalo Wild Wings. And Sebastian brought up a good point. Well, I was like, first of all, the way that we were eating wings the other day, and I was like, the way that we're eating wings right now, at least me, I'm so messy. Why would I do that? I was trying to impress the guy, and I'm like eating wings. What the fuck? Exactly. I think that's what it was. Is the sounds I was making? I was like, holy shit, how are you with me? But also, Sebastian was like, and we went like during the heyday of Buffalo Wild Wings. So the music, was fucking loud. How, like, it just was a bad environment for a date.
How
Why
do you
would
like your wings?
there was like a game on? People were probably yelling. No, I'm kidding. It was like during lunch. But yeah.
Wait, what year was it? 7 years ago.
7
So
years
like
ago, yeah.
2013.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, it's 2021. So 2014. What song was popular there? That's just like blasting.
And you could, what if what if his romantic gesture was that he picked, you could like do the digital like tune thing where you could pick a song, and he picked like, I don't know, like Timber by Pitbull and Kesha.
Spin your heart round and round.
Oh,
Wow.
the audacity that we had to go on a first date there. I mean, honestly, like, that's how we knew, I think, because we were like, this is normal. Anyways,
first date material.
Wow. Yeah, I used to spend half of my life at a movie theater, so
yeah,
that's what I thought it would be doing, but yeah.
Well, let us know. That's a good question.
Maybe if I remember, I always say I'll add that to the Instagram poster, but I never do. But hopefully, I'll remember.
I'll ask in the Discord later.
Yeah, join our Discord. All right, so then 22. So after this, Joe I think he tells 22 his plan, and she decides to help him, because she says that maybe or what did she say? Like, oh, so she'll like go in on his plan. They'll figure out what her spark is, and then she'll give it to, like, she's just not interested in going to Earth, so she's like, whatever. And
she sees it as a way to skip out on life, so she's like, hell yeah, because she doesn't want to.
Oh, because then it's kind of like you're faking your death, kind of, where she's like, I'm faking going to Earth so they will leave me the fuck alone, because she has to do those seminar things like every week. And this will come back later, so I'll kind of explain, like, especially because I want to explain a joke that they had that made me and Sebastian laugh a lot, where when you're in the zone, like we saw Joe earlier when he was like doing his thing, playing the piano, you go into where like the great before, your soul kind of goes into there for a little bit. Because when you're like, I think they explain it as when you're really like into something and you kind of feel like you're in a different world, that's where you go. But below, there's a bunch of people that are like lost souls. I think they had one, they showed it was like a stockbroker or something. That would have been so funny. I was hoping that they would have done like a computer engineer that was like coding and he was like a zombie.
That would have been hilarious.
So she shows, I think 22 just like shows that sometimes she fucks with them. Like with the people that are in the zone, you can like throw something at them and like knock them out of it. And she was like, oh, like this over here, this team, I've been like messing with them for years. And it was a Knicks player.
That's so funny. I laughed so hard.
That was a solid joke. This movie's pretty funny, but that made us laugh like so hard. I don't remember if I had to pause it, but it was very funny because I've seen multiple like Knicks jokes in the past month. Those poor guys. But yeah. All right. So after this, they run into a guy that is in the zone. He's not like fully dead. He's just a guy that's twirling a sign in the middle of New York. So he just like has a boat. I think he just helps lost souls like him and then some other people. Just like they, like for the stockbroker guy, they like got him out of his funk and he was able to like live his life, all that jazz. So they help all that jazz. So they help like all those people. And so Joe's like, well, can you help me get back to my body so that we don't have to do this whole like, you know, finding your spark shit. Oh, I didn't even mention that. But 22, he was trying so hard to find her spark, but she is such a little shit. They can't find it. Like he's like, it's not going to happen. And they were able to find him. They were able to, I think there was like it's kind of odd where there's like a specific kind of instance where you have to, I think they said it's like a thin area. I don't know, where it is kind of like a perfect place for every time kind of thing. He can't just like send him back. They have to find a perfect place to do it. And then they do, but somehow 22 also gets knocked into like the area. And she accidentally takes his body and Joe is in the cat. It's like I think it's like a therapy animal or something. Mm-hmm. And do you want to, so I have a good, so I guess we can get into this now because I have like a source that I found just like talking about this specific part of the movie and why it's a little problematic. I don't know how you felt about it, but I did feel kind of like a little weird about this body swap part. And I just thought it was very cringy to like have Tina Fey's a voice coming from Joe's body, especially with her past of like being insensitive with her jokes. And it just felt really strange. And I do have an article. So one thing, I guess, like first getting into this, I obviously felt this way, but the big thing that made I didn't just come up with this like out of nowhere. I read a lot of critics, specifically a lot of Black critics, talking about like film critics talking about this movie and how they felt about this part. And so just like, I don't know if the people that listen, if they're really big into reading, like, you know, specific film critics, I know a good way, especially for a movie like this that's centered around an identity that I can't identify with. I don't know what it's like to be a Black man, so I can't like assume what this would have felt like being a Black person or being a Black man watching this happen. So if like a good tip for this, I guess, is to intentionally find and constantly support other like film critics of different identities. Does that make sense? That's like kind of rambling, but just so, I mean, not to take away from this movie. And this critic does a great job of like, this movie is, I mean, I like this movie. This movie's good. but it has a problem that we need to address. So I'm going to be basically just reading this critic's like review. But if you want to read the full one, it's from the postathens.com from Adonis Fryer. And what they bring up is they talk about the good of this movie. Like I said, like this movie has a lot of good things about it that we'll talk about, but they also brought up a really good point where they say Soul doesn't repeat the explicit racial tropes of Disney past, but still has some poorly executed story concepts. The middle muddles for too long, and the mechanics of the afterlife are loosely established at best, but those don't really matter. What the film fails on most is its racial commentary, which is subliminal but careless. The biggest problem with this film is that Joe isn't in his body for the majority of the movie. Just like in Princess and the Frog, and I think people call this is me talking, people call this, I think, the Tiana problem. But yeah, so just like in The Princess and the Frog, The Empire's New Groove, and Brother Bear, the non-white protagonist isn't human for most of their screen time. Joe is human for the first 10 minutes until he dies, and then when we see his body again, 22 is walking in it, not him. In doing so, the film robs Joe of the agency that he deserves. He spends far too much time chasing after selfish 22 during the second act. There's one scene where 22 leaves Joe in his room to talk to one of the students who's struggling with school and wants to quit jazz. It's a conversation that helps 22's character arc, but would have been far more emotionally resonant if Joe was talking to her. So
Yeah.
they bring up an amazing point of like what we're saying, or like what they said about how like I would have never thought of that not only is that a problem in this, and it did make me feel uncomfortable because like I said about Tina Fey's past, but it's a reoccurring problem that I had never even noticed where sorry, go on.
I feel the same way. Before you brought this up, I had no idea.
Exactly. And especially because like they said, it's really the subliminal part of it where you don't realize, and I've never seen Princess and the Frog, but the fact that like I didn't know that for almost the entire movie, she's not a Black woman. And so it brings up like that whole part of like people thinking that predominantly white audiences, which are what movies are made for, I mean, honestly, won't want to like watch a story that has nothing to do with them, that has everything to do with a Black person or a person of color. And the only way that they'll be able to stomach a story that has nothing to do with them is by putting this character into a blue little body that's his soul, or having a white woman voice him. You know, like all these things. And also another thing that I forgot what the critic was, but I think a main critique that I saw is that while 22 was in Joe's body, that they didn't deal with any sort of like racism or microaggressions, which I was waiting to happen. And I feel like, I mean, maybe it's not my place to say, but that could have been, if you're gonna use this tired trope of like the body swapping thing, then that could have been, I think, an interesting thing to add on to it. But yeah, so we're going to be praising this movie. I feel like we're going to be praising this movie a lot throughout this podcast, but I did want to bring that up where it's something that they missed. I think they missed the mark on.
Definitely.
But yeah, sorry, I talked a lot during that. What do you think?
No, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm sure someone missed it, because I definitely did. Yeah,
and like I said, I mean, there's no way. Well, there are ways, but like that's not the fault of you to not know that, but it's your responsibility to listen to other, at least critics are very vocal about this. Obviously, that's their job. So to make sure that not only the films that you're watching are diverse, but the critics that you're reading from are diverse, because they have a totally different perspective that'll teach you certain things that you should be looking at. Yeah. All right.
definitely.
So back to the movie. So they have plans to make the switch back, because they find the guy's in New York, the guy that like helped them. I forgot his name. Let's just call him the spirit guy. I don't know what he is, but
Yeah, I don't remember
or
his name.
the sign twirler is what we'll call him. So the sign twirler, he says he can do it, but obviously they can only do it at 6:30. And surprise, his performance is at 7. So of course it has to cut it that close. And
Moonwind is his name.
Moonwind, of course. Excuse me. So Terry finds out. What? Terry finds out. Oh, so I was like, who's Terry?
Yeah.
So Terry finally finds out that it's Joe who's missing, because I think Terry goes to the other Jerrys and is like, there's somebody's missing. We need to figure this out. This is a big deal. And everybody's like, oh, okay, find out, I guess. I don't know. They really don't care.
It's your job to find him.
And so Terry then goes on a mission to Earth to find him. And one of the Jerrys tells Terry, do not let people see you, because that'll be bad.
Yeah.
And so as 22 is in Joe's body, they go on a little adventure. They go to his barbershop, where he learns more about his barber that he would have never learned, because I think when he left, he was like, how come I didn't know this about you? And he's like, well, you didn't ask. So
Yeah, I feel the same. I don't ask my barbers anything.
Do you have
except for my new barber?
Oh, well, there you go.
My new barber is my he's my roommate.
Oh. I was gonna say, when's the last time you went to a barbershop?
I haven't been in forever, but I used to just go to Great Clips.
It's been over a year since I got my haircut, because I don't like getting my haircut. I think it's a very awkward interaction. But I don't know. It's also really hard when you have curly hair to find a good person to cut, like somebody that's really good at cutting curly hair. But that's another thing. And then he also finally gets his mom's approval for trying to become a musician, because she finds out about his new gig, even though it's with a famous musician. She's like, yeah, but like, dude, you gotta get a steady job. But
it's like they all in the same.
Yeah. And I think too, it's that whole, like, his dad went into that trap of trying to be a musician, and she saw how badly it could go, because I feel like if she didn't have that perspective, then she'd be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But he convinces her, like, hey, this is my dream. I'm going to do it. So you either support me or you don't. And she's like, okay, I'll support you. So they meet up with the sign twirler. I already forgot it. Moonchild? Was that what it was?
Moonwind. I was like, what are you saying, dude?
I'm just saying words at this point. So they meet up with Moonwind. But then 22, this part made me so fucking angry. So they're about to switch, and then 22 decides that she wants to keep Joe's body.
Peace.
Which was very, like, I was so annoyed.
I was like, you're right there, dude. Like, you're right there. Just like swap. You got exactly what you wanted from the get-go.
And she's like, no. And she just like, God, it made me so angry that she just like ran away. But before she could pull off the body heist, is what I called it, Terry got them. And got them good. And when they get back, we see that 22 had gotten her badge, her Earth badge. And when Joe asks, so I think, I don't know, I didn't take like detailed notes, but when I was so, okay, but that's a good sign, because I was so into what was happening in this movie. And also I didn't want to pause a lot, because Sebastian was watching it with me. I usually watch these movies alone so I can pause. So I didn't want to be that person. So sorry if this is a bad retelling, but just watch the movie. But when Joe asks what 22's purpose ended up being, the guide tells him that the spark isn't your purpose. So a little fun fact I found from IMDb. is after Jerry explains how new souls go to Earth by finding their spark, he can then be heard rhetorically asking, "And what is this spark?" before Joe gets too distracted by his own imagined spot to hear the answer. Without any crucial piece of information, Joe assumes the spark is one's passion or purpose in life. But it's later revealed that the spark is really just the desire to live. So the answer to his question was there in front of him, but he chose not to listen to it, which is very relatable. All right, so Joe gets back to his body, makes it to the show, and then he's amazing. Of course, he's great. But when it's all over, he thinks that he'll feel different. But in reality, nothing changed. He's still taking the subway home. He's living in his apartment, and he has all these reminders of his day that makes him finally realize that music isn't the purpose that should be driving him. It's not the sole purpose. And it doesn't make him who he is. Living life and having these little reminders of his day, just like being like what my therapist is teaching me is being mindful about what's happening in your life. That is his purpose. Being present and taking it all in is what you live for. And I wish I should have written down what I already forgot her name, but what the musician was telling him, where he was like, I thought it'd feel different. And it was like a story of, I'm going to butcher this shit. Do you remember?
No, I got you.
Okay.
It's like a younger fish asks the older fish, like, how do I get to the ocean? And the older fish is like, why do you want to get to the ocean or something like that? He's like, I want to, or no, he's like, well, you're in water, like you're fine. And he's like, no, I want to get to the ocean or something like that.
Yeah. So I love this portion of us trying to remember, but I think that's mostly it, where the young fish, the young fish says, I want to go to the ocean. The old fish says, well, you're in water, you're here. And he says, no, but I'm looking for the ocean.
Yeah.
So like
when you're there, you're there.
It's kind of, you know what the last year made me think of, like, especially before the pandemic, like the life, at least for me, was so different before the pandemic. And I mean, obviously, but like I didn't realize how different it would be. And it makes me think of The Office. There's a specific quote that Andy Bernard says, where he says, I wish that when you were in the good old days, that you would know you were in the good old days. And that's what I kept thinking about before the pandemic. I mean, I'm alive, I'm healthy. So like, I don't want to like, say that now is not, I'm not okay now, but like those were really good days. And I wish I would have known what was going to happen, because then I would have appreciated it more. But then if you just appreciate living, like this movie's trying to teach you to do, then you don't have to regret that anymore. So this movie came out at a great time. We're almost to it. So let's go. Okay. So Joe gets back to help 22 go to Earth, because he has this epiphany, just with all the things that they like, the little reminders of his day. And so he goes back to the great before, and in turn, so he helps 22 go to Earth, and in turn, he gets another chance to live. I didn't really delve into like how she was lost in the little lost souls thing, and he got her out. That's basically it. Yeah, so he gets another chance because Terry's like, no, like he needs to go back. And then the Jerry's like, it's okay. Or I think because they told him like, we're going to give you another chance because we are in the business of inspiring, and it never happens to where we are inspired, basically. And so they were like, you know what, Joe, you can have another chance, but like, watch where you're fucking going, dude. And one of my favorite parts is when he's like, okay, but like, what about Terry? Won't Terry be pissed? And like, we got it handled. And it's just one of the Jerrys just distracting him and then just moving the little thing.
For the oldest trick in the playbook.
Also, I don't know, the one voice that I knew, or that I remembered and I was so excited, was of one of the Jerrys, because it one of the Jerrys had such a distinct voice where I was like, I know who that is. And it's Richard Ayoade, who has one of the best voices in the biz. I love him.
Definitely
and he's funny.
for a Jerry.
He's fucking hilarious. I think he's in an anime that Sebastian watches too, and he just has a great voice. Yeah. And so when he's asked what he's going to do with his life, he says that he doesn't know, but he's going to live every minute of it. And that's the last line of the movie. And according to co-writer Kemp Powers, the last line of the movie was originally written as, "I'm not sure, but I know that I'm going to enjoy every minute of it." But it was changed to, "I'm not sure, but I know I'm going to live every minute of it," because an animator pointed out to him that life also has painful moments that we still have to live through. And so the co-writer found that it was really, that line was more profound, because that is true. I mean, you don't have to enjoy, like, you don't have to be happy all the time or enjoy your life all the time, because that's not going to happen. But as long as you live it.
Yeah. And I feel like that line, like, living every minute of it speaks way more to what this movie is about, and like the lesson that it teaches.
Yeah, especially during, especially during the fucking pandemic. I mean, this 2020 fucking sucked. Every part of it sucked. But we
Just
lived through
it. Enjoy living it. Enjoy the little things. I think that's why I like this movie so much, is like, your life doesn't have to be as miraculous as like Mother Teresa or Gandhi's or any of the like big people in Earth. But as long as you enjoy your life and live every moment, then that's your spark.
Well, that's the thing they're saying, though, is that you don't have to enjoy it, because life sucks sometimes. But as long as you get through it, then
it's a life well lived.
All right, so before we get to the end, I have some fun facts. I have a first section. The rest of them, I think I just like bullet pointed. But this first section is called "Representation Isn't Hard." And you'll learn why. So, in order to accurately portray African American culture within the film, the filmmakers hired several consultants with whom they worked closely through the film's development. Among them were several Pixar employees, musicians like Herbie Hancock, Terry Lynn Carrington, Quincy Jones, and John Baptiste, educator Jonetta Cole, and stars Questlove, like you said, and Daveed Diggs. Pixar was mindful of the history of racist imagery in animation and set out to create characters who were recognizably Black while avoiding the stereotypes in old cartoons. Acknowledging this effort, Peter Docter stated that, quote, "There's a long and painful history of caricatured racist design tropes that are used to mock African Americans." According to Kemp Powers, the animators used lighting as a way to highlight the ethnic diversity in the living world. Pixar sought to capture the fine details of these Black characters, including the textures of Black hair and the way light plays on various tones of Black skin. Cinematographer Bradford Young worked as a lighting consultant on the film. Sorry?
The lighting is absolutely amazing. Like, I've seen some stills on just Twitter. It's just like, they did an amazing job.
And at least for me, it was very striking in the barbershop like sequence. Like, especially when he was like the close-ups of him cutting his hair, and just like it was just really cool. And lastly, animators used footage of several music performers, including jazz composer John Baptiste, which, if you watch, I think it's Stephen Colbert's late night show where he's the band leader. John Baptiste performing as reference for film's musical sequences by capturing MIDI data. I don't know if you say MIDI or if it's
MIDI.
Okay, MIDI data from the sessions. Animators were able to retrace the exact key being played on the piano with each note and create the performances authentically. And I just thought it was super important and cool that they didn't just get any jazz composer, that they specifically got a Black jazz composer. So it's not hard. like we said, there's flaws within this movie. But they did a lot of things right. And one of the things was that they consulted with people. They were intentional about Like they said, the racist designs, I wish they would have acknowledged like the racist designs that Disney contributed to, but I don't know. I guess that's another conversation. But yeah, it's not hard. It's as easy as that. Just hire people. All right. So I don't know what production babies are. I think it's a commonly used term within films. But the production babies part of the credits is retitled to recent youth seminar graduates. Before the end logos roll, it says in addition to the usual created by Pixar text and in homes at least 6 feet away from each other in the Bay Area. Referencing the fact that animators worked at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Isn't that weird? Okay, so I put that like fun fact specifically because imagine reading that 20 years from now. Like that's how
weird.
people are going to remember this year. The COVID-19 pandemic.
Rightfully so.
That's just very strange to me to like. All right. A couple more. So according to Peter Docter, Peter Docter? Yeah. The animator is assigned to specific musical instruments, often either had experience playing them or a great appreciation for them. So that's kind of cool. John Baptiste composed jazz music for the film's New York City sequences, while Reznor and Ross wrote an instrumental score for the scenes taking place in The Great Before. Baptiste said that he wanted to create jazz music that felt authentic, but also accessible to all ages. He also wanted the themes to tie into the ethereal nature of The Great Before while still being on Earth. He also sometimes worked with Reznor and Ross to blend the two worlds musically. I know Reznor is Trent Reznor. It's the two that are always working together, right?
Yeah, I know Trent Reznor. I don't know who Ross is.
I want to say Atticus, but I don't know if that's correct. I'll just throw that name out there. All right, last one. So the tailoring, okay, so this one is also, if it's true, I need to fact check it, I guess, but IMDb never lies to me. So if this is true, it's actually really fucked up, but I wanted to include it. The tailoring business owned by Joe's family is based on real life business named Advanced European Tailoring Shop in Berkeley, California. Pixar animators spent many hours there taking notes and illustrations to capture everything from the look of the shop to the movements of the workers. They also spoke with the owners of the shop, Zoltan Hajnal and his wife, Pooja Dorshur. I'm sorry, to learn more about what inspires them to do their job. So the owner said that he and his wife were not paid for their contributions, but were proud to be a part of the film.
It's messed up.
Pixar, fucking pay them. That's all I got to say. I know they're listening. I know we've got an ear at Pixar.
We've got an in and you got to pay up.
Yeah, that's very ridiculous to me.
But yeah, it's messed up.
Overall, great pick. I think, like you said, it was a good way to start the year. And it had tied to a lot of things that at least I've been feeling. So, yeah, good way to reflect. And I saw a lot of people that were like, I saw a lot of TikToks where were like, I just watched Soul and I'm changing my major.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought this movie was great. Like it a little bit less now that I know, but I still think it's an important lesson that the movie has.
And also, you can I think it's just a good lesson, at least a personal lesson in liking something, but still, you can still like something, but be critical of it. And that's
definitely
a huge theme of at least last year for me, especially with our political landscape, is you can love something like, let's say, a country, but still want to criticize it and still want it to be better. We can love this movie, but we wish that it was a little bit better. And a good point too that I saw is that this wouldn't be as much of an issue if this wasn't one of the only like animated movies that predominantly featured Black people. Like if there was a ton that we could pick from, then this wouldn't be as big of an issue. But because this is like seems like the one, it's harder to like, I don't know, it's just harder to want to be critical of it because you don't want to knock what it's doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think this is a great movie for a lot of reasons, but
how did
I did
it
want
make
to
you
mention
feel though? Sorry.
me.
Yeah, is that what you were about to say?
No, I was gonna say Pete Docter. He did a watch party on the beginning of this year, January 1st, and he tweeted a bunch of like behind the scenes fun fact stuff, like early sketches, like concept art. So go check that out, Pete Docter on Twitter, or Dr. Pete. I thought it was a really cool stuff, like some cool stuff that he tweeted out. But this, after watching this, like I immediately wanted to watch it again. I think just because I think a lot of my life, I've wanted to do so many big things. I wanted to do so many different things. I've wanted to make movies. I've wanted to create software to do big things. I've wanted to make music. I've wanted to do so many things and have so many different impacts in a lot of industries. And I feel like I've been pretty critical on myself for not being able to do that, or, like Isaac Newton discovered or identified gravity at 23 or whatever.
Oh, I hate those
invented
fucking
calculus. But I think this movie is like just speaks to me being so critical, and it made me think about that. Like I don't need to do that to have a happy life, to live life, to have that spark. So I think it's an important movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think thankfully a lot of things in my life this year, a lot of people that I met had made me learn this lesson a little bit sooner than this movie. So this movie kind of like solidified that. Like the fact that I should be doing what I love. And especially because I kept thinking the beginning of this year, I kept thinking about, because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I want to do with my life. But then I'm like, I have these milestones of what I want to like achieve. And I'm sure you're like that too, where you're like the whole Isaac Newton thing where you're like, well, by the time I graduate college, I want to do this, this, and this, or like 2 years after I graduate college, I want to make this much money. When like, well, there's two things. First of all, you're running your own race. So like you shouldn't be competing with other people because there's no other race that exists other than yours. Another thing was a Jim Carrey like speech. I think it was a commencement speech. I forgot what college it was, but he was saying that his dad really wanted to be a comedian, like Jim Carrey became. Like he loved comedy. He just wanted to do it so badly, but he didn't think he would succeed at it. So he decided to become, I think it was like an accountant, something that wasn't his passion, but it was like a good career that he could like use to, pay for, like he had a family and all that. So that's what he needed to do. But his dad told him like that he regretted it. Like he regretted not trying to go for his passion. And that's a big reason why Jim Carrey did, because he didn't want to do what his dad did. He wanted to try to like go for it, and he loved it. And so he said that if you're happy failing in comedy like his dad would have been, then you should fail at something you love, because you can succeed at something you don't and be successful in all the ways that people think you should be, but then you won't be happy. He probably would have been happier being like, like, I don't know what the equivalent to like comedy for, for that Joe, like, what he basically with Joe's case, like, sure, being a middle school teacher isn't what middle school band teacher isn't what you plan to do. But if you love music and you're able to teach kids music and talk about music every single day, Like if failing in music means doing that, then that like you should be doing that. So you should be going into a career field that you would be okay with failing because you love what you do.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah,
Good
don't be
movie.
concerned about like if you want to go into film, you don't have to be fucking Christopher Nolan. It's probably not going to happen. That's like a 1 in a million thing. But if you're happy doing the little films that you do or whatever, then do that. You don't have to
Do it.
be. There's not going to be a lot of Nolans. And there shouldn't be, because I swear to God, Tenet, if I have to watch Tenet again. There's this one covering. I feel like we've talked about Tenet every episode this year.
I still haven't watched it. What's this thing you've seen?
I forgot. It was like it was a quiz show where they were like, it was a quote from a critic, and they're like, what movie they're talking about. And I think it said like, I would rather get my eyeballs gouged out or something. It was bad. It was really bad. It's Tenet.
Wow. Well, what are we watching next episode for episode 60?
All right. So I was going to do a movie that there was one movie I wanted to pick because I've been wanting to watch it for a while, and I think it's on HBO Max. But then I saw that it was 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
is it Wonder Woman?
Fuck, no. I don't know how long this one is. I can't imagine it's. Oh, this one's 2 hours. It's okay. So it's a new movie, and it's a movie I've been hearing a lot of buzz about, and so I want to see if the buzz is worth it, if the hype is real. So it's a movie called Sound of Metal on Amazon Prime.
David was telling me about this one.
I've been hearing a lot of great things, so I feel like we should be watching it. And the other movie was kind of old. This one came out last year, 2020.
That's Riz Ahmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exciting. We'll watch it. We'll come back, unpack next week. Until then, goodbye. Live every minute of your life.
See ya.